This is descending limb blood vessel of vasa recta, and this is ascending blood vessel of vasa recta. So it goes to vein. This is efferent arteriole branch. So like blood passes here in this way and passes out. It is closely associated, vasa recta is closely associated with Henle's loop. Now, what happens in descending limb of Henle's loop? Write down. Descending limb of Henle's loop. I draw this one. This is descending limb and this is ascending limb. Okay? This is Henle's loop, this is vasa recta. This is vasa recta. Everybody should draw the diagram. This concept is very, very important. I am explaining this concept in the easiest way. Please try to understand. From the descending limb, water comes out. Water comes out from descending limb of Henle's loop. That water enters into ascending limb of vasa recta. This is ascending limb. So water enters into ascending limb of vasa recta. Important point, write down. The water enters into interstitium through descending limb of Henle's loop, again re-enter into the ascending limb of vasa recta. And next one, sodium chloride comes out from ascending limb into the interstitium. So the sodium chloride again enters into descending limb of vasa recta. These are the two important points. The both Henle's loop and vasa recta maintains osmotic gradient. How means? Through the descending limb of Henle's loop, water comes out. That water is enters into the ascending limb of vasa recta, opposite. Sodium chloride comes out from ascending limb, enters into descending limb of vasa recta. These are the two important points. This countercurrent mechanism maintains osmotic gradient because of the release of water, enter of water, release of carbon dioxide, enter of release of NaCl, enter of NaCl. Water enters into medullary interstitium. Water enters into medullary interstitium through descending limb of Henle's loop. The same water enters into ascending limb of vasa recta. Sodium chloride enters into medullary interstitium through ascending limb, whereas sodium chloride enters into the descending limb of vasa recta. By this counter current, you say the osmotic gradient in the medullary interstitium is maintained. Medullary interstitium is maintained. Suppose what happens if counter current is not maintained? Osmotic gradient cannot be established in medullary interstitium. Only the osmotic gradient from 300 milliosmol to 1200 milliosmol at the base of the medulla is maintained because of the counter current of the fluids, both in the vasa recta and also in the Henle's loop. That is why the counter current flow of the fluids and the blood, both in Henle's loop and vasa recta respectively, is responsible for the maintenance of osmotic gradient from 300 milliosmol from cortex to 1200 milliosmol at the base of the medulla. Most important concept. అర్థం చేసుకుంటే చాలా ఈజీగా ఉంటుంది, చాలా సులభంగా ఉంటుంది. ఎలాంటి అనలిటికల్ క్వశ్చన్, ఎనీ టైప్ ఆఫ్ అనలిటికల్ క్వశ్చన్ కెన్ బి ఆన్సర్. We can create so much of confusion in framing the question without having understood the concept of this. You cannot answer the analytical question in physiology of excretion. Listen carefully. Now, next one. In the thin limb of the ascending limb, ascending limb has having two regions, thin segment, thick segment. So only solutes are reabsorbed, water is not reabsorbed, since the ascending limb of Henle's loop is impermeable to water. Then what happens? You see here, some amount of urea is secreted into the thin limb of the ascending limb. Important point. Small amount of urea is secreted into the thin segment of the ascending limb, and it is again returned to interstitium from collecting tubule. So urea is reabsorbed into the medullary interstitium from collecting tubule, and it enters into the thin segment of the ascending limb. I told you that osmotic gradient is mainly maintained because of two substances, sodium chloride and urea. Urea also play an important role in maintaining constant osmotic gradient by its secretion and reabsorption. You know, the urea is secreted into the thin lobe of the ascending limb. Again, it is re-entered into the interstitium from collecting tubule. This is another important point. So, while this glomerular filtrate flows through the nephron in the collecting tubule where it is hypoosmotic and urine is formed. Out of 180 liters of glomerular filtrate formed in a day, only 1.5 liters of urine is excreted by the kidneys. 150 liters of glomerular filtrate by both kidneys. But how much? 99% of the water and solutes are reabsorbed by the nephrons while it passes through. But only 1% of the glomerular filtrate is excreted in the form of urine. And how the concentrated urine is formed, an important point. You see, the first, in the initial segments of the nephron, water reabsorption is passive process. Obligatory reabsorption. In the through distal converted tubule and collecting tubule, water reabsorption is facultative reabsorption or active process, which is under the influence of the hormone ADH. You know, a hormone, what is called antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin, a hormone secreted by hypothalamus, released from posterior pituitary, the antidiuretic hormone that increases the reabsorption of water from distal converted tubule and collecting tubule. Another important point. The hormone, antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin causes the facultative reabsorption of water through distal converted tubule and collecting tubule. And another hormone, aldosterone, is secreted by the adrenal cortex. Aldosterone is secreted by the adrenal cortex. Is responsible for the reabsorption of sodium and chloride from the distal converted tubule and collecting. So, here the reabsorption of water and reabsorption of electrolytes is under the control of hormones. So, the reabsorption of water and solutes from the distal converted tubule and collecting tubule is under the control of the hormones. What are the hormones which regulate the reabsorption of water and salts? Antidiuretic hormone, and second one is aldosterone. Aldosterone is responsible for reabsorption of salts from the distal converted tubule and collecting tubule, whereas the antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin that causes the constriction of blood vessels and increases the blood pressure. So these two hormones are responsible for the reabsorption of water and also salts from the distal regions of the nephron, both distal converted tubule and collecting tubule. Another important point. Next one. Regulation of kidney functioning. Another topic. Regulation of kidney functioning. Another, here 4 important points are there. Definitely a question is expected from this part. You know, in the body, osmotic concentration is measured by osmoreceptors. I told you in juxtaglomerular apparatus there are JG cells and macula densa. The tall cells of macula densa act as osmoreceptors. They detect the changes of the osmotic pressure of the fluids. What is the function of osmoreceptors? To detect the changes of the volume of the body fluids. Volume of the body fluids including plasma. So, if osmotic pressure of body fluids including plasma decreases, suppose volume of the body fluid decreases, volume of body fluids decreases, what happens? Osmoreceptors, they activate. Any change in the volume of the blood fluids including plasma occurs, the osmoreceptors, they get stimulated. So osmoreceptors activated and stimulate the hypothalamus to release ADH, to secrete ADH, released by posterior pituitary. This ADH increases the water reabsorption, from the filtrate. By that, blood volume will be restored. And another function of aldosterone, it constricts the blood vessels. So ADH acts as vasoconstrictor. So by vasoconstriction, BP increases, blood pressure increases. When blood pressure increases, already if at all blood pressure decreases, immediately it is increased by the secretion of ADH. Another one, there is, in the kidney there is a mechanism, what is called renin-angiotensin mechanism. In kidney, in regulating the function, there is a mechanism what is called renin-angiotensin mechanism. What is it? You know, the macula densa JG cells present in JGA apparatus formed by the union of distal convoluted tubule and afferent arteriole, which I explained in the last class. The JG cells secrete an enzyme what is called renin. It is an enzyme, peptide enzyme. The renin converts angiotensinogen present in the blood secreted by the liver. See here, renin converts angiotensinogen into angiotensin 1. So renin converts angiotensinogen present in blood into angiotensin. that is further converted into angiotensin 2. This substance stimulates the adrenal cortex to release aldosterone. That aldosterone helps in reabsorption of salts from the filtrate. By that, the volume of the body fluids will be increased. So when the volume of the body fluids decreases, ADH is secreted simultaneously. The JG cells of JGA releases renin enzyme that converts angiotensinogen present in the blood into angiotensin 1, later changes to angiotensin 2, that stimulates the adrenal cortex to produce aldosterone. Hello? Online class. So, aldosterone. What is the function of aldosterone? It increases the reabsorption of salts from the nephron, from the glomerular filtrate. By that, the blood pressure or body volume, body fluid volume increases. So that the GFR rate is restored. When body fluid volume decreases, blood pressure decreases, GFR decreases. Glomerular filtration rate decreases. When glomerular pressure decreases, it also results in the decrease of GFR. So to maintain the normal GFR, aldosterone is secreted and ADH, both hormones are secreted. The mechanism of the secretion of aldosterone, the JG cells of JGA, the juxtaglomerular apparatus secrete renin enzyme that converts the angiotensinogen of blood into angiotensin 1, then to angiotensin 2. That is a vasoconstrictor. Angiotensin 2 is an efficient vasoconstrictor like ADH, and it stimulates the adrenal cortex to release aldosterone that increases the absorption of salts. So absorption of water from the nephrons in the distal parts of the nephron by ADH and absorption of salts by aldosterone. This is what is called aldosterone angiotensin mechanism. What is the advantage? When blood pressure or glomerular pressure or blood volume or glomerular filtrate rate is decreased, important one. When body fluid volume decreases, glomerular blood pressure decreases, GFR, glomerular filtration rate decreases, then these two hormones are released. One is ADH and aldosterone, and that will maintain the normal GFR, normal blood pressure, normal volume of body fluids. Suppose if blood pressure increases, if GFR increases above the normal range, what happens? There is a counter mechanism exists. Important one, the atrial walls of the heart. Atrial walls of heart produce a peptide, what is called atrial natriuretic factor. Or peptide ANF or ANP. Anti-atrial natriuretic factor or peptide is produced by atrial walls of the heart. Take down important point. When blood pressure increases above the normal range, when GFR increases above the normal range, if blood volume, the body fluid volume increases above the normal range, then the then the atrial walls of the heart produce a peptide, what is called atrial natriuretic factor or peptide, that decreases the blood pressure. That decreases the blood pressure or volume, body fluid volume by vasodilation. Important point. ADH is for vasoconstriction. Angiotensin 2 is for vasoconstriction. But ANF, atrial natriuretic factor is for vasodilation. So it works in opposite direction to the aldosterone angiotensin mechanism. So by this, the kidney function is regulated. So aldosterone angiotensin mechanism is accelerated when body fluid volume decreases, pressure decreases, where GFR decreases. Suppose if body fluid volume increases, blood pressure increases, GFR increases above the normal level. Next, the counter mechanism is the release of atrial natriuretic factor or peptide that decreases the blood pressure or the fluid volume by GFR by vasodilation. That is about the regulation of kidney functioning. These two topics are completed, which are very important. Concept oriented. I think most of the students who attended. The students who have not attended to this class, but they have lost a lot. They could not understand this concept by just reading, unfortunately. So, most of the students are not availing this opportunity. It is unfortunate. Very few students. They don't know the value of the teaching. What I felt, most of the students who joined in NEET group could not know, they could not understand, they could not evaluate the value of these classes. This class you cannot get anywhere. Even on payment also, you won't get this. It is unfortunate. I request most of the students who are attending may be beneficial this class. It is quite discouraging because though I am spending and stressing every nerve to explain the concept-oriented topics in zoology, most of the students are not responding. It is unfortunate. So you will respond only on payment, not on free. I understood. Thank you very much.